All right. Welcome, everyone, to God's Prepared Warrior Live. We are now live. Hopefully, you guys can hear me over on the YouTubes. 5x5. Thank you, Glenn, for that 5x5. He says, or as my buddy Chris, aka Texas Raider, says 308 by 308. That's pretty good. You could also say 30-6. So just saying. Awesome. Thank you, Salt Miss, for that 5x5. I see you guys have been chatting it up over here in the chat room. That's super cool, man. So welcome to the channel tonight, Salt Miss. Thank you for engaging with everyone. Glenn, welcome. Thank you for the 5x5. Scott Hummer, welcome to the live. And I see all of you guys jumping in here and chatting it up. That's super awesome. Thank you guys for joining. So I'm excited. Ohio Valley Prepping is in the house. Welcome, my brother. I saw your video today. You keep creating great stuff, brother. Good. I'm glad you guys are here. Awesome. Glenn is in there, Salt Miss. Okay, awesome. So we got some stuff to talk about tonight. I'm super excited. You know, I think Monday comes really, really fast. You know, sometimes the weekend is kind of like my time to kind of relax and stuff. And then it's like all of a sudden Monday's here. And here we are. So guys, thank you for joining the group tonight. You are welcome, Ohio Valley Prepping. Guys, if you haven't seen Ohio Valley Prepping, you got to go check out his channel. He puts out some great stuff. So go check him out. They're in YouTube world. And Saltman says, let's all make sure to hit the like button. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Saltman, for that reminder. Also, hit the subscribe button, because that way you get notified to all the videos I post and all the notifications for live. So good. I'm glad you guys are here tonight. So what we normally do is we go over channel news, right? I'm a totally different kind of channel, because I don't look at these numbers and say, oh, look what I did, because I'm not really doing anything. All I'm doing is talking to you guys and sharing truth with you guys and pointing out some things that maybe you should be aware of and be vigilant to, so that you're prepared for any situation. So tonight, let's look at that news. I also have a correction to make for you guys from last week, but we'll get there in a little bit. So as of today on our YouTube channel, we are sitting at 737 subscribers. We're up 9 new subscribers on YouTube. So you guys should applaud yourself and, you know, cheer and do all of that good stuff there. So, you know, that you guys are doing great work over on the YouTubes. Keep sharing the channel. That way we can continue to grow. TikTok over here. TikTok, today we're sitting at 3,593 subscribers. This week we went up 17 new subscribers. So that's really awesome. The TikTok community is growing really, really huge. And so I'm excited about that. That's a pretty neat thing. Facebook is our hard contender. And so we are up by 2 subscribers this week or last week. And we're sitting at 162 subscribers, but it takes all of us to share that information out, right? So share the Facebook channel. Also share the Facebook community group page. We are sitting at 25 subscribers there. And remember, that's where we're going to build the God's Prepared Warrior community in your area. So I've been working on a lot of things for that. And here pretty soon, we're going to start seeing new things in there. So check that out. Okay, here's the correction. So last week, I was so excited. And I think I had my glasses, like I have them right here. And I was looking at the numbers for X. And I told you guys, oh my God, we just gained 1,000 subscribers this week. Well, I was looking at the wrong number, so I'm gonna let you know the real number as of today. But as of today, we're sitting at 1,037 followers over on X. I told you guys it was like 2,000 something, but I gave you the wrong number. So that is the correct number. That's where we stand. We actually probably gained over here about another 10 new subscribers on X. So that's pretty neat. Instagram, we're sitting at 599 followers. And, I was hoping that somebody else would just come in and hit that follow on Instagram, which would have put us over at 600 followers. So we're up 13 on Instagram. I'll take it. I'll take it all. So all last week, we grew in our community by 41 subscribers. And so that's awesome. So you guys are killing it. You're sharing the content. You're sharing the videos. You're talking about us, and that's good. So it's like I always say, you guys are the one that are out here making it happen. Teresa is in the chat. Hey, Teresa. She says, hi, Dad. And I say, hi, my daughter. Good to see you. Awesome. Thank you guys for joining there. All right, so let's look at the news. I got some interesting things that I want to share with you. Some of you probably already know what's happening, but it's just a way for you to be vigilant, right? And you can stay prepared just in case this is where you are. So currently the Grand Canyon is on fire, right? The northern rim is now closed for the remainder of the 2025 season due to the wildfire that is happening there at the Grand Canyon. And that is a really, really sad thing because, the Grand Canyon is a destination for people who enjoy the outdoors. They want to go see the biggest crack in the ground in America. And so it's pretty sad that they had to close the northern part of the park for the remainder of 2025. So just to let you know that if you didn't know that it was, there was a wildfire out there, that way if you had any plans to go visit the Grand Canyon, you know that it's kind of starting to close down. So just be aware of that. Pray for those first responders that are out there fighting that wildfire, that God would keep them safe. 9 people, there's the next piece of news. 9 people were killed in a fire at the Fall River Assisted Living Center. So that came out on the news today. Let's keep all of these folks in prayer. This is a home for the elderly, and 9 of them perished in the fire. So let's keep them in prayer. Let's also keep their family members in prayer. There were a few that were also injured there, so let's keep them in prayer as well, just so that you can add to your prayer list. When the fire department came out, they were met with real heavy smoke and flames, and it's actually right across the street from the hospital. So let's keep these folks in prayer. That was a pretty dramatic thing. President Trump has come to the defense of Pam Bondi amid all of the revolt among his MAGA base over the administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. People were calling her out because she said, the files were on her desk. The list of people are on my desk, and now there's no list. So yeah. Hey KP, welcome to the live tonight. So there's a big mess there with that. A lot of people are upset because President Trump said that he was going to release all of that information. Now it's being redacted or held, or it's lost or something. So the MAGA group is really upset, and they're angry, right? So because that he is not putting out those names. In my group, we were talking about that today, and it doesn't matter whose name is on that list. It just needs to come out so that way they can pay for their crimes, no matter whose name is on the list. If Trump's name is on that list, well, it's time to sit in the boot, right? If it's anybody else, Tom Hanks, anybody else, Bill Clinton, I mean, mess with little girls, it's time for you to go to prison and get messed with by bigger guys. Just saying. Needs to be all of that needs to be brought out. Okay, next piece of news. Flood warnings are in effect, and they're happening still here in Texas. I think we're still under a warning here in Texas. Also, there was flooding in Philadelphia. I saw a video on that today. So let's keep them in prayer. We also had floods in New Mexico. I think that was either over the weekend or last week. So let's keep those families in prayer too. I also saw another video of people driving in New Jersey, and there is a ton of water over the highway. So guys, we gotta really pay attention. I would encourage you to download, these weather apps to your phone so that you can stay ahead of all of the weather that is coming, and make provisions, make plans, either to hunker in or to get out. So guys, make sure you're doing that. It's so important for you to do that. So next thing in the news, Hollywood agent's son. This is a very highfalutin Hollywood agent. I don't know if you saw this today, but this Hollywood agent's son is accused of murdering his wife and his wife's parents, and somehow they took him in custody, and now he dies in custody. So that kind of there's questions there. I have questions of, was this in any way involved in the Epstein list or whatever? So yeah, so that happened today. In the world today, Spain arrests 10 people after far right groups, right wing groups, and migrants clash. Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? I always say, if it happens over there, it'll soon happen over here. And that's I've seen it already happen, right? A while back, way before our fights in the street or peaceful demonstrations, right? Quote unquote. There was riots and stuff happening in South America. Hey guys, thank you for the gifts over here on TikTok. Appreciate that. So I said then, thanks guys. I said then, if that is happening over there, that's going to eventually happen over here. And guess what? It did, right? All of these riots and things that we've been doing. Scott Hummer says Bill Gates. Yeah, Bill Gates. Yeah, that's right. Scott says, I got $20 for gas for the wood chipper. Oh, man. So yeah, so we, all of that is happening. It's been happening, and it's continuing to happen. Now it's happening in other places. And so it's just so important for us to really stay vigilant. All right, so let's go to the topic that I have for us today. And the title of this is The Modern Watchman. I want to talk about the watchman that is talked about in the Bible. And I want you guys to have an understanding that we should be the modern watchman for today, right? And what does that mean? What does it mean to be physically and spiritually awake, right? I want to talk about this. The main scripture for this is going to come out of Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 6. You guys who love to take notes, there's the main scripture for tonight. The focus tonight that I want us to see is spiritual vigilance, situational awareness, and a call to stand to watch in our generation. I think that, you know, this generation is a mix of many generations, right? You have your boomers, you have your Gen Xers like myself, you have your millennials, you have your Gen Zs, you have your all kinds of generations, right? And I think that this is the most important generation. Hey, Jimmy Dean, welcome. This is the most important generation because we have a voice, right? We have a voice to stand in the gap and to make things known, right? So, guys, welcome to the live tonight. I wanted to bring this topic to you tonight so that we can talk about the modern watchman and what does that look like. So, here's the call. This is the call to be a watchman, and I pray that that's what you are doing is you're being a watchman for you and your family, right? But let's look this up in the Bible. Is Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 6. And it says, "But if the watchman sees the sword coming and does not blow the trumpet to warn the people, I will hold the watchman accountable for their blood." Now, this verse hits really hard. It's a reminder that God has given some of us the assignment to see, the assignment to warn, and the assignment to act, not in fear, because we don't do anything in fear. We know that God doesn't even give us the spirit of fear, but he gives us love, power, and a sound mind, according to 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 6, right? So we are assigned to see, we're assigned to warn, and we are assigned to act, not in the fear, but in obedience and love to God the Father, right? So today, in today's world, a modern watchman isn't just, someone who guards the wall. It's a man or a woman who sees spiritual danger and begins to pray. I hope that if you are a prayer warrior, that when you see spiritual danger, you're on it. You're on it, and you're praying, and you're on your knees. You're laying flat on your face, however, but you're praying at the feet of Jesus, and you're bringing that communication to the Father because of this spiritual danger that you see. Now, this is also the man or woman who notices physical threats and they prepare. And the majority of you guys are that person, right? You notice physical things, you see physical things out there, and you prepare, right? It's also a man or a woman who identifies deception in culture and media, and you point it out. I see a lot of you guys in Facebook, TikTok, on Instagram, and over on X. You guys are great, and you're posting out, hey, check this video out. Look at what this person did. And that's what we got to be doing. We got to be the watchman on the wall when it comes to these spiritual attacks that are happening. Had to wet the whistle. So it's important for us to be doing that, right? It's a man or a woman also who sounds the alarm, right? For family and also for community, right? During the flood, we've seen a lot of people come running to help those who were affected by the flood, right? And that's exactly what we're doing here on this channel together. We're being the watchmen being the watchman is not a solo job anymore. It's the call of every believer in this hour to be watchmen. And so when you look at Ezekiel 33:6, the watchman is supposed to see the sword that is coming, and he is supposed to blow the trumpet and warn the people. So my hope is that you have taken that call to be a watchman. Now, we have to stay alert. You hear it all the time from me. Stay vigilant, stay prepared, right? And I've always said I'm going to beat this to my grave of staying vigilant and staying prepared. This idea of, of situational awareness, right? So I want to talk to you. I didn't talk about this in the news earlier because I was going to use this for tonight, but this is what I mean when I say stay vigilant, because these things can happen where you are, right? So all the news I share with you, all the news you see that I share on TikTok, all the stuff that I post on my social media, I want you guys to look at that and ask yourself, what would I do in this situation? Because a lot of people will say, well, that's never going to happen where I live. I'm pretty sure the information that I'm about to tell you today, those people said, oh, that's not going to happen in our little bitty town. It's not going to affect me in any kind of way. But the people in this town were affected. And so if you've been paying attention to the news lately, you know what I'm about to talk about, right? So I want to talk about this heartbreaking headline. So here are the facts, right? This happened on Sunday, July the 13th at 11:35 a.m. near the Bluegrass Airport in Lexington, Kentucky. The shootings continued at Richmond Road Baptist Church, approximately 15 to 16 miles away from the airport, right? The initial attack on law enforcement. So what happened was this guy was pulled over. An alert was given to the policeman that passed him. It gave him a blue alert. He, turned around, stopped the individual, and he pulled over this individual's car, right? And so the suspect then carjacked another vehicle to flee the scene because he shot the policeman. And so he shot the policeman, hijacked the car, and then he fled the scene. He ends up at a church, during the service, and opened fire, killing 2 women and wounding 2 men, 1 critically. Okay. So he goes to the church and he's looking for his ex-girlfriend and I think a child. And they said, well, she's not here. And they said, he said, I'm going to take 2 lives today. And so he shot the pastor's wife and he shot another parishioner. The 2 individuals that were hurt was the pastor's husband. The pastor, who was the husband of the lady that was shot and killed. And the other person was the husband of the other lady that was shot and killed. And so it is a tragic thing that happened in Kentucky. And so I want you guys to look at these situations not in dread, not in fear, but in a way of preparedness. If you looked at my video I put up today, I was talking about using your preps and practicing with them, right? This is for that specific situation, right? And so you just never know when tragedy is going to erupt where you are. And it's going to be up to you whether one of two things happen. You become a victim because you're in shock, or you are, I can't believe this is happening, and you're in the way and you get taken out or injured or whatever. Or because you've been prepping, you've been practicing with your preps, you know how to utilize them, you know how to pull them out and be ready. You know that when you use that, you have studied all the law in your area and how you can use that equipment to neutralize the force that is happening. And when you act in that way, you're acting from muscle memory, from the training you were doing back there, right? And you don't become a victim. You are able to maneuver in that state because you're not afraid. Fear is not part of the equation. And you've been practicing with your tools, right? So this is reality. This is reality for the people in Kentucky. When you go back to all of the other shootings that have happened here in the United States, it is reality to all of those folks as well. So we live in a time where we can no longer take information and take it for granted. We have to really look at the information that is given to us, and we need to stay vigilant to that information. And if things happen in your area, you know, you have to act, right? You have to. It's like we talked about a while ago. You know, you see the spiritual danger, you begin to pray. You notice physical threats, you're prepared, right? You identify deception in culture, you're ready. You're ready to tell the truth. And you're ready to sound the alarm for your family, right? Because you see, you warn, and you act, right? And that's what we have to do in those times, right? Here, and that's the reality. We live in a time where evil is bold and culture is chaotic, right? The enemy is attacking our sanctuaries physically and spiritually. In the physical realm, this is happening. Our churches, our synagogues, they're being attacked. And spiritually, our spiritual sanctuary is being attacked as well. But the response from God's people, God's prepared warriors, is that we should be both spirit-led and practically led, right? So you have to ask yourself, are you spiritually awake to the threats that are around you, or are you just kind of just idly going by life, just, you know, meh, you know what I mean? Vision preparedness says facts. Yes, yes it is. Yes sir. You know, you got to ask yourself that question. Are you spiritually awake to the threats that are happening around you, because they're happening around you? Let me tell you, if you go back, what, 10, 20 years, you would see blips of these things happening, not even majorly, like, you know, years. One would happen 5 years later, maybe another one would happen. Today, we're seeing them week upon week upon week. And I'm not even just talking about people going into the churches and taking people out. I'm talking about people taking people out with their truck in a festival. I'm talking about, you know, somebody going into a mall going into a movie theater, and just, you know what I mean, and going into schools. It's happening on a week-on-week basis, and we have to be spiritually awake. The next question that you want to ask yourself is, are you physically prepared for danger in your environment? You know, I am the type of person that's dangerous in this way. I am not afraid to step out and do something that I have never done before, right? I.e. being on this platform, right? You know, this week on the 11th, this channel was just this channel's birthday. On the 11th, we turned 2 years old. And it's funny because I'm like, I swear I've only been on here a year talking. And actually, I was on YouTube with this channel watching, right? I was watching Pinball Preparedness. I was watching Travis over at you know, his channel, and a bunch of other people. So I've been watching for a year, and then I started coming out here a year ago on this platform. And so we're 2 years old. So I'm that type of person that says, I'm going to jump into the deep end of the pool and I'm going to do it, right? So when I tell you guys, like this morning, take your equipment and practice with it, you know? Maybe you go hit that switch outside at the box, shut off the electricity, run a drill and say, well, the electricity's out, and they said it's going to be out for the next 4 or 5 hours. You learn to live in that 4 or 5 hours without electricity. What does that mean? You've been prepping, you take out your flashlights and they're charged because you've been on top of that. That means that you take out all of your alternative cooking sources and you start using that because, you know, you got to eat. You take out maybe the water you've been stockpiling and you start using that because, you know, if the you know, that gets you in practice in using your preps, right? So are you physically prepared for danger in your environment, right? I can tell you that a lot of people were not prepared when the rains came and they flooded the camps. They weren't prepared. There were no systems in place, right? And so the terrible thing was that we've lost family members, right? So we got to keep praying for them. The next question I have is, are you paying attention to what's happening in the news? You know, I can tell you that there are news sources that you can't trust. I'm just going to say that. I am going to tell you that sometimes those news sources that you can't trust, actually the content you can actually use and find from the source, right? So if ABC News, because I don't trust ABC, if they say, you know, the FBI said this, go to the FBI website and see if that information is there, because they just reported that, right? And if you're vigilant, you're paying attention, you're going to see that, right? You're going to see that happen. Hey, Cedric, welcome to the live tonight. Good to see you here, my brother. So yeah, it's important for you to know things, right? I go to the horse's mouth. You know, I go to military.com. I go to the Army webpage. I go to FBI, Homeland Security. I go to all of those, and I look at their news channels. They got a news page on their website. That's the horse's mouth. You want information? That's where you go, right? That's where I go. That's where I get some of my information. And if I'm looking at, you know, ABC, I'm looking at Fox, I go and collaborate that information. I'm not just going to take it for, you know, oh, this is truth, because sometimes it's not. So it's important for all of us to pay attention to what's happening in our world, right? In our city, in our state, in our nation. That's so important, right? Let's talk about practical watchman tools. I have a few things here. Discernment is number one. Do you know what discernment is? I would encourage you to have discernment in your tool belt. Ask God for it. God, I want to be able to see things. I want to be able to see what the enemy is doing. Take away the the things that cover my eyes, right? Use that discernment to know that not every headline is truth. I just said that earlier, right? Ask the Holy Spirit to help you separate the facts from fear, right? And the truth from distraction, because distractions happen a lot. We need to have discernment in our tool belt, right? The next thing is spiritual awareness or situational awareness. This is so important. Know your exits wherever you are. So important to know that, right? Notice who's around you. You can tell who's who and who's not. Notice who's around you. Be present wherever you are. Don't doom scroll. Be present. Be watchful. Look around the room. My wife and I went to Chili's yesterday, and we sat in a spot where I could see both. I could see the front entrance, and I could see the back entrance, and I was able to see the whole rest of the restaurant from where we sat, right? So, make sure you're present where you are, whether you're at church, whether you're in the store, whether you're at a restaurant, even if you're at work. Be present wherever you are. Situational awareness. So you need discernment, you need situational awareness. The next thing is security in places of worship. Know those people. Those people called me out a couple of Sundays ago because my knife was too long. I actually have a pig sticker that I wear all the time, and I love that knife because it fits well in my hand, and it's huge, and it's thick piece of steel, and it'll do a lot of damage if I was to use it in any kind of way. But to me, knives are tools, and so they called me out at church. The church security guy asked the officer to point that out to me. And so the officer was like, can you meet me in the front foyer? I went over there, and he says, can you take your knife to the car? It's making people fearful. And I said, sure, officer, I'll do that. No problem. I'll go set it right next to my handgun. And so, I was telling the pastor the other day about it, and he was laughing. He said, it's okay, Fernando. It's because they don't know who you are. And I go, I understand. So know these people at your church, right? Know who they are. Talk to them. Let them know who you are. And that way, whenever there's a situation, you know what's happening, right? Ask them, what is the security plan for the church, right? Talk to your leadership, right? Maybe you joined the team, right? You join the team and you train with the team, right? Because faith is not foolishness. Jesus told his disciples to carry a sword, right? So you got to know, you got to have some discernment. You got to know situational awareness, and then it's good to know the security that's in your place of worship, right? The next thing is keep others informed, right? Be a voice of wisdom to your family and to your community. That's important to have that, right? Don't spread fear, right? Because we're not here to spread fear. We're here to spread faith and facts, right? Because remember, God doesn't give us the spirit of fear. He gives us love, power, and a sound mind. And then we need to help others be spiritually awake, right? Yeah, we need to know what's happening here in our physical, but we also need to be spiritually awake to the things that are happening in the spiritual world, right? Because the Bible tells us that the battle is not between flesh and blood. It is in the spiritual realm, right? It's in the heavenly places. That's where the battle is. It just manifests itself in the spiritual because of our connection, in the physical to the spiritual. And so we have to help others be spiritually awake and practically prepared, right? There is a spiritual challenge for today's watchmen, and I want to challenge you guys to take a step of faith here. Here's what I want to leave with you tonight. Being a watchman is not just about what you see. Being a watchman is about what you do with what you see. Hear me on this, because I want you to get it. Being a watchman is not just about what you see. It's about what you do with what you see. I'm part of another group called We the People, Liberty and Justice. And a lot of my friends are here on TikTok right now that are part of the team that I'm a part of. And this is what we do. We are watchmen, and we don't just we're not just about what we see, but it's about what we do, right, with what we see. And we see that things aren't going right in our world, in our government, and it's time to change it, because we are the people, right? And so we are warriors. If you guys follow my channel and you're part of the community, you are God's prepared warrior yourself, and you are a watchman. So the challenge I have for you are three things. Will you sound the alarm? Will you sound the alarm? Will you make noise, right? Will you stay awake, right? Will you stay prayed up? Will you stay studied up? And will you stay prepared in every single way? Let me tell you why. So important. I don't know where you are in your faith, but Jesus is coming soon. All of the little things that he told his disciples of the signs of his second coming, we see them. He tells them these are just the birth pains. That doesn't mean that he's coming tomorrow or the next day, but his return is coming soon. And he told his disciples, when you see these signs, it is like the birth pains, right? When a woman is pregnant and she's about to have her child, the first thing that happens in that is the birth pain, or in that the baby's coming, the birth pains, right? Oh, we got to take her to the hospital, right? And they're looking at the time between these pains. And so it tells them whether the baby's coming or not. Jesus describes this exact thing to his disciples in Matthew. And he's telling them, these are the things you're going to see. You're going to see wars and rumors of wars. We're seeing that, right? You're going to see weather events, right? I think it talks about earthquakes. I think it talks about, all that kind of stuff. We're seeing almost every weather event, and it's happening, right? Jesus is coming soon. The days are getting darker. It's sad to say, right? But the light inside you is getting brighter. That's what I want you to understand. The light inside you is getting brighter. Don't shrink back, right? Don't fall asleep, and don't stop sounding the trumpet. Let's be like Nehemiah's builders. One hand on the work and the other on the sword, right? If you haven't read Nehemiah, you got to go read it. We need to be like Nehemiah's builders. They had one hand on the sword and one hand on their work. And so, guys, this is your call to action. If this roundtable has blessed you tonight, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It's so important because you are the ones who are pushing this out there further. I want you guys to know that God is coming, and we shouldn't live in fear, but we should live in faith, because we know what happens in the end. Yeah, we're going to have these wars. Yeah, there's going to be a big battle at the end. Yeah, God's going to win, right? We're all going to win if you're with the Lord, right? That's so important. Vision preparedness says, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, and against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Yes, that is very true. Vision. I think that's Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. Ohio Valley Prepping says, amen. Vision preparedness says truth. Saltness says 100%. Greeting Grace, hello. She says, hey, y'all. So guys, I want to challenge you to be that watchman. I want you to be that watchman on the wall that, that has that audacity to warn. They see, they warn, and they act. As God's prepared warriors, that's what we're supposed to be doing. And so whenever you see something in the news, warn everybody about it. That's what I do. If you look at all of my social media, you're going to see that each one is different, right? And you're going to go to TikTok and you're going to say, yeah, Fernando's warning us. Yes, I am. I'm warning you on TikTok. And I want you guys to see that. I am trying to be that watchman on the wall, where I am giving you these warnings. I'm showing you where they are. I'm showing you how to prepare for them, right? I'm telling you, like I did this morning, hey, we should be practicing with our tools. Just saying, right? Because in the event of anything happening like this weekend at the church, you take out that tool and you begin to use it, right? Not out of fear, but out of protection and safety for your fellow man, right? That's what I would want somebody to do for me. That's what I'm going to do for others, right? And so, guys, I just wanted to call you out and remind you that you are not just a people that just sits idly by. If you are a follower of Christ, that means that you have been called into the army of God, right? You've been called into the army of God, not to sit on the sideline, not to lay down in the tent, but to be a watchman. And so, guys, I hope that you take this and you run with it in your families, and you become a watchman for your family, right? So, guys, I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. And I'm so glad that you guys jumped on over here on YouTube and on TikTok. Yes, Vision Preparedness says we cannot just stand by. We sure can't. We sure can't. Guys, thank you for joining the Roundtable Live tonight. I look forward to seeing you this week in the videos I post out. And don't forget to share this content, my page, with your family and friends so that we can get this word out tonight. Scott Hammer says, great message, God's Prepared Warrior. Thank you. You're very much welcome, Scott. I'm wanting to be that one on for you guys. Forty, thank you. She says, thank you over here on TikTok. You are welcome, my friend. Guys, you have a great night. And thank you for joining me tonight, and hope to see you next Monday right here at 9 p.m. Central on God's Prepared Warrior channel. Have a great night, guys. I'm praying for all of you. Be safe, and God bless. See you again soon.